All right. So as we're starting to slowly come back in, give a little brief background on myself and what we're going to be talking about for the next 45 minutes. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Dexter Carr Jr., MHA. I did get my master's. I'm proud of it. And I am the CEO and founder of Game for Good. We're a game tech company focusing on building solutions that demonstrate the value of gaming beyond just entertainment. You see, for me, I very early on saw the writing on the wall about how gaming can be applied in other spaces. From when I played one of my most favorite games of all time, Mass Effect, that the uh, teaching me that there are actual consequences to my actions. As go through each game, it carries over what you did in the first one. To playing Civilization. First exposed to that Civilization Revolution from actually on the Xbox, and applying that to when I was doing my master's. Uh, Basically, my master's in health administration, equivalent to an MBA with a focus in healthcare. And so being able to use that to better understand business, I saw that there are other ways to learn by actually doing. And then just seeing gamers be able to walk through games, talk through games, teaching individuals how to be able to play games better, I saw that what they were actually teaching was pattern recognition. What they were teaching was critical thinking. You know, earlier, you hear from students the one main thing, like, when am I ever going to use this ever again in my life? Well, if you play video games, you go play the sequel, so there you go. You go have to use it again, but from there, we're cultivating different skills naturally. And what I've learned, I found out, is that there is a way to be able to trigger that in not only our youth, but even our adults who play some of these games, for them to realize what they're actually doing and then drastically increase their competency and confidence in that same skill. And so some of this we're going to go over today, but the name of this panel is actually one of the inspirations for this whole entire conference, which is gaming in the classroom. So, ask yourself the key question, what are video games? We see some of these games, some very popular, some very old, but what are video games? What's a video game? This is the complicated long answer of it, but simply, it's a software we play for entertainment on electronic devices, whether it be your phone, whether it be a console, be PC. And then the question becomes, what's the definition of a gamer? Is an individual who engages with software for entertainment purposes. So that could be your Fortnite, that could be your Animal Crossing, or that could also be Bejeweled, remember that old game, Minesweeper, or that could even be Candy Crush. Do you play those games? Technically, you are a gamer, whether it be passively or competitively. And we see the value of gaming is beyond our borders, it's global. We see that it helps reduce stress, anxiety, and overall makes people feel happier. We saw this explicitly over the past few years, where basically the whole world was on lockdown because of a fast-spreading virus. Now, funny enough, in World of Warcraft, maybe like 5-10 years ago, something similar like this happened. There was a glitch causing people to die, and we saw a lot of these same actions happening. We were able to simulate and see, without even realizing it, as people caught on later, how people responded to these kinds of pandemics, and it very much mirrored what we did in real life. And so we see that it helped us connect with one another. And this is what brought us all here today, because before this happened, gaming was just a hobby. It was just a something, a niche that was focused, that had a very specific stigma. But as we're seeing here, that I know that actually other ones kind of hard to read, but as we're seeing here, that just in America alone, it is sweeping the nation. This number is growing. 2/3 of Americans are gamers. That means 2 out of 3 people randomly picked will potentially be a gamer in some way, shape, or form, identify as a gamer. I can't really use that here because chances are everybody here, or majority of people here, play video games in some way, shape, or form. But that just means that I go out randomly to the street. I have a 66.7% chance of picking a person who plays video games randomly. And as we're seeing that, just look at some of the age distributions. 18 or older, 2 out of 3. Our youth, 3 out of 4. 75% chance that a child plays video games. It doesn't think it's weird. And then on top of that, it's a near 50-50 split, boys and girls. Near 50-50. That wasn't like that not that long ago. But we're seeing that more and more becoming close to the equal. And it's probably going to maybe hover around there, even get to a point where it is 50-50. Because we're seeing that gaming doesn't discriminate. When you pick up a controller, when you get behind a keyboard and mouse, the game doesn't know any better. The platform doesn't know any better. At the end of the day, you are player 1 and player 2. Or if you're Nintendo, player 8 or 16, depending on the game. So, these are video games, but these are educational games. These are some games that I grew up with. Games that I used to play a lot. I think one of the Order Math Blasters gave me nightmares at one point, but that's not the point. But we have seen the fact that people have gamified, in a way, learning, turning into a game for people to learn. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not just here to talk about educational games, but how do you use modern popular games to teach? Because this is where all of our students are. They're not here, they're here. So, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Animal Crossing, Civ 6. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. What do you think we can learn from this game? Any takers? History. What was that? Problem solving. True. Architecture. Yes, cultural experience, especially being in a different time, a different age. Absolutely right. Historical studies. They have a discovery tour mode, which you're able to, outside the game, visit and learn about some of the other different spaces, different cities, different cultures, different statues. You have to have it for this, they have it for Origins, which is more so for ancient Egypt. I even have one for Valhalla for the, old in Nordic days, so old or Norway, old Britain, before it was called Britain. And we see a lot of that, opportunities to learn from that. And on top of that, just the ancient culture analysis, but how we were able to, how we interpret that culture. We see it being played out. So whether it be the interpretation from these individuals of Ubisoft, or whether it be from a different TV show, how do we interpret this culture? Many people see it in different ways. The next one is Animal Crossing. What could we learn from Animal Crossing? Any takers? Economics, okay. Project management. Awesome, true, true. The yes, community. One of the biggest things, one of the first things that you learn in Animal Crossing, finance. The whole concept of the game is debt management. When you get there, you have a Tanuki who is right over there, who basically is like, hey, you want a place? Here you go. You gotta pay me back. So you gotta do all these things to properly and on time pay back this Tanuki. And then on top of that, learning once again pay schedules, but then how to engage in community. Because depending on who you get on your island, you see all this random drama. And it's crazy. And you see all these memes about it online. Well, that's how the real world is. And it's crazy sometimes. But now also, what do we learn from civilization? What are some things we learn from that? Strategy. Yes. What was that? Culture building. Yes. Oversized management. Yes. We learn the aspects of different culture, strengths and weaknesses, especially during different eras. We see project management. You are running your own civilization. You're growing your own civilization. So there's a lot that comes into play in that. Diplomacy. How do you engage with other countries? What's important, especially some of the new one that came out. They have all these different add-ons like natural disasters, like different acts of war, things like that. How do we engage with people beyond our borders? And then economics. How do you grow your civilization? These are all natural skills that we either partake in as an adult, but we don't realize. Some of these things we take for granted. But the more you build these skills, the more you're able to play this game on, warlord, king, deity level. And people are able to grow their civilizations very, very rapidly. And you're able to see what it takes to be a conqueror in some way, shape, or form. But you see the mindset of what it takes to run. And this is where I learned a lot of my entrepreneurial skills by creating those opportunities to test that out. And we're seeing that these games are literally just educational tools with skins of things that we enjoy to do. And the more we play these games, the more better at them we are, the more we're learning these skills, these competencies, and all we have to do is just connect the dots. Because when you connect the dots, you'll be much better at managing your debt. When you connect the dots, you're much better be able to appreciate and understand other people's cultures. When you connect the dots, you'll be able to better understand how the world around you works. And these are just some of the few educational opportunities that could come from it. We were able to learn so much from it, and the different ways that we could learn it. So instead of having a summer reading list, we could have a summer gaming list, doing the same exact thing, but except with video games. Give me a report on Breath of the Wild, compare it to Tears of the Kingdom, play both of those games, beat them this summer. Go ahead, have fun. All these things, we're applying the same concepts that we would do if we had read Beethoven, listen to Beethoven. If we read Beowulf, there we go. Or read of Mice of Men, or the Harry Potter series, like these same concepts are there. Now, what's esports? As we all know, playing games competitively. This is one form of career path that can be taken. And here are some of the popular games and teams that have come out of it. We've seen the upsurge of this, especially during the COVID times. A lot of people, what they're going to do, get good at playing video games, and if we can't play traditional sports while we're locked down, we could play online sports, and that's what we do. And that's what we've seen now, the opportunity for our youth to engage. opportunity for people to compete at a level that never had the opportunity to before because of physical limitations. But now we have that here. But what are we going to do beyond just that? Is esports, is being a competitive player just the only career path in esports, in gaming? It's not. We have multiple different ways to, all multiple career paths to be a part of in esports. Whether being a game designer, being a graphic designer, broadcast marketing, so many different opportunities that can come from it. And game development is what we're going to touch on today. So, if someone could simplify game development in 3 different steps, what would it be? And hopefully some of the indie developers here who have done it know the answer to this question. So, what are the 3 simple steps? If you were to oversimplify game development, what is it? What was that? Planning, building, testing, yes. That is exactly what it is. Ideation, coming up with the game, development, building the game, and then testing. What this is in, I guess these words, in adult language, or career language, executive producer, screenwriting, coder, music, putting the music, let's see, actor in a way, game beta tester, alpha tester, QC, QA. That is what it looks like those are the 4 formal terms for it. But with that being said, I would like to enact some of this, just so we get the feel of not only what it takes to build a game, but then some of the different skills that aren't as apparent. And so to do that, we're going to play Mario Maker 2. Yep. So with this, we're going to need 3 different volunteers, 1 for each part. So, for first of all, who wants to be our volunteers? Who wants to come up? All right, come on up. That's 1. Come on. Oh, you want to come? All right. Oh, yeah, it's a signal, switch. All right, so that's 1. All right, so who's going to be our second volunteer? Come on. All right. And then who's going to be our third? Who's going to be our third? No one? All right. Give it up, everybody. We got our 3. Awesome. All right. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to put some time on the clock. And what's your name, gentlemen? What's your name, sir? Claudius. All right. So Claudius will be our executive producer. What you're going to do is I'm going to give you a sheet of paper and a pencil, and you're going to design a level. In any way, shape, or form, you can describe it, but you're going to put your idea on paper. And what is your name?
Danny.
All right, Danny. You are going to develop or build out his idea. And you, Kenny, are going to be the one to test it. All right. So, I'm going to get you a sheet of paper, and I'm going to let you go ahead and design it out. And when I come back, Danny, I will give you the general idea of what the controls are, so you can go there. All right. All right, so as we are shifting back, what did we learn? What did we learn? Making games are not easy. You need to be able to not only articulate your vision very well, but then the individuals need to be able to interpret it very well. As you can see, there was still space that could have been completed. And that is what DLCs are for, to complete the game. One of the biggest issues we see right now in the industry is the fact that, some games are made incomplete, and so a DLC helps finish the story. Is it the marketing idea? I don't know. But we see that based upon the ability to properly articulate, because once again, they could have wrote words along with the drawings any way, shape, or form, and then sometimes the inability to ask and communicate with the person who made up the idea can also lead to misinterpretation of the vision. But then on top of that, being able to properly test a game. You can't test a game that's incomplete. You can't test a game that is unbeatable. And so there's so many different aspects that just went over, not just making a good idea, putting it together and playing, but also the fact of just being able to communicate, being able to come together as a team, things like that. I purposely separated for a reason, is to demonstrate the importance of that, and that's just the bare minimum, just low-hanging fruit of what can be taught with our students. So quickly wrapping up, why gaming? We have to meet students where they are. We've been seeing this so many times. We've heard this over just today alone. Meeting students where they are. Our students learn differently than how we used to. They don't learn the best through books at times. They're in front of a screen. They become more digitally native. There was a commercial I saw where this one lady was giving birth, and her kid just came out, took one nurse's phones, immediately made an Instagram account, and was just living that baby's best life already. As silly as it is, basically kind of the same thing, as real as it gets. And so meeting them where they are. This isn't a replacement. Gaming esports is not a replacement. It's an enhancement. It's a teaching tool to be leveraged and utilized. I'm not trying to say don't have your kids read books, but have them read books and play games. Let them honestly, hey, read a Harry Potter series, play Hogwarts Legacy. Tell me how the world that was created originally compares to how it's interpreted and some of the events that happen in the game in the future, how it affected the timeline of that video game in the past. These are just things, the way to be able to help our kids think, help our kids learn. We're giving them reasons to. When it comes to youth, when you give them a reason to do something, they'll do it. Gaming isn't a hard sell for a majority of kids. 3 out of 4 kids. It's not that hard. Engaging students in the modern way, like I said. We can't keep trying to shove a round peg in a square hole. That's not going to work. At the end of the day, you're going to create more corners. Or if it's the opposite, a square peg in a round hole, you're going to carve away corners. Something's going to have to give. And we have to be able to leverage, to utilize. Just like, I love this example with one of the things I love the most about the movie Black Panther is the fact that we demonstrated and saw how you can take tradition and modernize it. You don't have to give up what you believe to live in the current. There is a way to be able to leverage what it is now to better show respect to tradition. And last but not least, teaching conscious thought. We want to do or get our kids to be more aware of what they're doing. We don't want our kids to be mindlessly playing games. We want them to be aware, have to be conscious, socially conscious gamers, not just being aware of the power and influence that they have with playing video games, with how it impacts the world around them, how they engage online, things like that, but then also the fact to be aware of what they are learning, what the skills they are building they need to be able to beat the game, and how those skills also appear in real life. Even though you don't get too many do-overs in real life, you're still able to build and learn those skills. And if it's still a disbelief in terms of gaming cannot be a vehicle to enable our students, just remember, there are so many jobs that could come from it. It's not just being a programmer, it's not just being a coder. All these things comes into play. So thank you all so much for your time. And